must be Cassie.
You must be Rebecca.
Yeah, come on in. Come in, take a seat. So, how do you know our mutual friend Jess?
Just know her from high school. She heard that I was having trouble at work and suggested that I come and see you.
Okay, good. So that's what brought you in today. You're looking for insight into your job?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Cassie, I can't help but notice that you seem a little nervous about all this.
It's not you, I'm not sure about all of this.
It's understandable. Everybody's nervous the first time, especially if all they know are the horror stories. But I can assure you, everything is perfectly safe. The cards are not going to tell you if somebody you know or love is going to die. It's simply a snapshot in time, if you will. It's the universe giving you guidance that you can choose to take or not. There are no absolutes, no nevers, and it's not going to tell you the winning lottery numbers.
Okay, how much do I owe you?
It's $30 a session. No need to charge an arm and a leg for the universe giving you guidance. You're looking for insight into your job. You're wondering what it has to offer?
Yeah, or if I should stay at my job. Just the money isn't cutting it anymore.
Okay, that's understandable. Let's see what the cards have to say.
What does that mean? The way that you're flipping the cards?
Well, this is your past, this is your present, and this is your future. Looking at the Four of Pentacles, we can see that you're looking for more money in your current job. But let me ask you, have you received another job offer?
I have. Should I take it?
Yes, according to this, you should, because the Three of Wands tells me that it is a management position job offer. And looking to your future with the Ten of Pentacles, it's a much larger company that will ensure better financial stability. Is the job from a much larger company?
Yeah, way larger than where I'm at now.
Okay, well then I advise that you look into it and give it a shot. Your future's looking bright.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. You've helped me so much today.
Not a problem.
And I will recommend you to anybody who's looking for guidance.
Thank you.
Everything that you've just witnessed was inspired by true events. There's been a practice throughout the centuries that people have enacted in that can tell them possible outcomes in their future or to bring to light some message that the universe is giving to them. This practice, of course, is known as tarot card readings. Now, in this episode of Stories of Lore, we are going to be speaking about what tarot cards can offer individuals, who seeks it out, and to clear up some misconceptions that are associated with the cards. My name is Justin Sisk, and this is Stories of Lore. Before we get into the cards themselves and to talk about what a person would get out of them or what the cards mean, we must first start at the beginning, where they came from. Now, for this episode, I had the pleasure of sitting down and speaking with author and tarot card master and expert reader John Marani. So throughout this episode, I will be showing clips of our interview to ensure that you guys get the proper information from an expert. So let's start with the history of tarot cards. Hey guys, I'm sitting here with author of this book, in their own words, John Marani.
Morning.
And he is going to help us today by explaining a little bit about tarot cards, the history, and things that you may not know about them. So if you want to introduce yourself and say your credentials.
Absolutely. My name is John Marani. I'm a professional tarot reader. I'm a certified tarot master. I've been reading the cards for, it'll be 28 years in August. I have been doing the cards since I left high school. And honestly, it's one of the best things I've ever done. It's a wonderful tool.
All right, thank you. You've been doing it longer than I've been alive, so there you go. So I guess a good first question to ask is tell us a little history of like where tarot came from, how it came to be, why it came to be.
Sure. The history of the tarot is filled with myths. There are a lot of myths that have come about of where it actually came from. The best information that we have is that it came from Italy in the early 1400s, and at the time it actually was used as a game. The cards were called I trionfi in Italian, which really means the trumps. And at that particular time, games, if you know the game Bridge, okay,
yeah.
before Bridge came about, there were other trick-taking games that used trumps, and so the tarot was used in that way. Now, before that, we're pretty sure that people were using both tarot cards and playing cards for divinatory purposes, but it really wasn't until the late 1800s where it started being recorded that people were using tarot cards for divination or telling the future.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. I didn't know it came from Italy. That's really interesting.
There are rumors that it came from Egypt and all kinds of other things, and I think part of it is that people want to make the tarot sound more mystical than it actually is.
Yeah. As John pointed out, we see that tarot cards actually originated in Italy, and when they were first brought into circulation, they weren't actually used as divination tools. They were used as entertainment purposes. Now, to quote John from our interview, there was a group that brought tarot cards to the forefront as a divination tool. This group or order was called the Golden Dawn. They were a group that operated during the 19th and 20th century. Now, this group was devoted to the studies of the occult, metaphysics, and paranormal activity. One of its famous members was Aleister Crowley. So now that we know a little bit about the history of tarot cards, let's ask a bigger question. Why would someone go to get their tarot reading?
It really varies depending on the person. The general reason is guidance. So people will come to me with a particular situation sometimes, or a very specific question. Or sometimes they'll come in and say, I just want the universe to tell me what I need to hear. And either way works. It really depends on what the client needs. But for the most part, it's guidance. They have a situation, they're not sure what to do. In some cases, it's about confirming their intuitive thoughts and feelings. So oftentimes they'll come to me and I'll do the reading, and then after the reading they'll say, yeah, I thought that was going to happen. And I look at that as a great thing because it means that the person's listening to their own intuition, which is important. I would love to have fewer clients and have more people listen to their own intuition. That would be great because I think the world would be honestly a better place. But to be frank, the reasons vary, but people generally come in looking for some kind of guidance or confirmation.
Okay.
And in some cases they're looking for permission, believe it or not. So for example, if people come in and they're working a job they hate, but they feel a certain dedication or loyalty to it, they might come in and ask me, tell me about my job, and I can tell them, assuming I see that, well, it's miserable, and why are you still there? And sometimes that's what people need to say, okay, it really is miserable, I'm not dreaming it, and it's kind of like giving them permission to do what they'd like to do, intuitively.
Okay. Now, as John greatly pointed out to us, the cards can be used as a tool of guidance, or to be used as a mediator between you and the universe. Now that we've talked about the history of the cards and why someone would seek out a tarot reading, now let's talk about the cards themselves. I will do a quick demonstration of what cards you are expected to find in a typical tarot card deck.
Rider-Waite-Smith deck is what is the most commonly used tarot deck, and it's divided into two different parts. It is the major arcana and then the lesser arcana. What you see in front of you is the 26 cards of the major arcana. Cards include the Magician, the Empress, the High Priestess, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, Sun, Judgment, the World, and the Fool. Lesser arcana are then divided even more into 4 suits. These 4 suits are Pentacles, Wands, Cups, and Swords. Each suit we can see that there is a king, a queen, a knight, and a page of each one of these suits, all representing different interpretations and meanings. As we can see, the suits are then divided again from cards that are numbered from Ace to 10 in all 4 suits, including Pentacles, Swords, Cups, and Wands. Yet again, all having different interpretations and different meanings.
When you draw a card from the tarot deck, it can have a number of meanings, depending on what card you draw. This could be anywhere from the Tower, that means misery or ruin, to the Lovers, which means attraction. The interpretations and the meanings that are associated with each singular card are endless. Brings into another question, which John so kindly answers for us. What can someone get out of a tarot reading?
Oh, tons of things. I like to think of the tarot as almost like a metaphysical GPS. So, for example, we're here in Northern Virginia, so a lot of people go to Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
So, if I were to plug in my GPS that I want to go to Virginia Beach right now, it would tell me there's a certain amount of time it'll take to get there, there's traffic on the way, or there's construction, or there's police activity, or whatever it is, at that moment. And it's really important for people to know that, because the tarot is a snapshot in time. That's why I like to use GPS. Because if you wait until 3 o'clock tomorrow morning to go to Virginia Beach, the picture is going to be a lot different. Likely it'll take a lot less time. Whereas if you try on, I don't know, a July Friday afternoon from Northern Virginia to get there, it's going to take you a lot longer. So when someone sits down for a tarot reading, it's a snapshot in time. It tells you, here's what's happening right now, and based on what we see, here's what's going to happen. And that's one of the areas that a lot of people don't understand, is that this is a snapshot in time, which means that the future can change. And for the most part, it can change based on people's choices and how they react to things.
Okay.
So it's important for people to know that. It really, really is, because what the tarot says is not necessarily fated. It's kind of saying, this is how you're going, this is where you're going, and if you don't like that direction, you have time to change it. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it really is.
Sense.
It's a great tool for that reason. It's also good when people come in for choices. For example, I've had clients who have been lucky enough to have 3 job offers in their hand.
Oh, nice.
And they'll say to me, which of the 3 should I pick? And I'll pull cards and I'll say, okay, well, this one looks the best because... Now, in the end, it's up to the client to make up their mind. I really don't tell people what to do. All I do is give people the message, and that's really vital for the listeners to know as well, is that I'm not in the business of being responsible for people's decisions. I'm there to give them an independent opinion. That's really what I'm there to do. And I'm there to give them an intuitive opinion as well. So in many cases during a tarot reading, people's thoughts and feelings that they try to suppress might come out, or things that they hadn't considered might come out. Options that they might not have considered before might be available. So it's important for people to know that the tarot can bring you in many, many different directions.
So it's basically, like you said before, you're giving them guidance, and then it's up to them if they want to listen to that guidance and then apply it in their personal lives in order to make the change that they need to.
Absolutely. And in many cases, sometimes people will not do what I tell them to do or what I advise them to do. And I don't take that as I don't take an ego for that, and I don't get angry about that. And there's a simple reason for it, is because A, my ego should have nothing to do with a tarot reading. Okay, I don't have power over anybody. People who use the tarot like that drive me absolutely crazy. Okay, and B, ultimately you are responsible for your own decisions, and that has nothing to do with me. My only job is to give the message, plain and simple, and I'm to give the message to you in as direct and honest a way as I can, and be as compassionate as I can when I do it. If I can do that, then I've done my job. If you leave here and you choose not to take my advice, that's totally up to you. And again, I don't take an ego hit because of it. I don't get angry.
So as we have learned, the tarot can offer as a tool of guidance, assurance, permission, and actually build confidence in oneself. Or it can also shed light on a specific subject that the universe is trying to communicate with you about at that point in time.
Unfortunately, a lot of things that have to do with the mystical or the spiritual side of things have a lot of misconceptions with them. Unfortunately, is there any like major ones that you would like to clear up, so that people don't, have these misconceptions in their head about it?
Sometimes it's funny. I'll do my best. I believe that people are going to believe what they're going to believe, but
True.
But here's the thing. One of the biggest ones we already hit, which is that the tarot is fated. Just because I said it in a reading doesn't mean it's going to happen. I actually had one client who came in, and she was very, very upset that she didn't meet the man that I had seen in her last tarot reading, and she was really upset and angry, and was yelling at me and said, "You were wrong!" And she came over and sat down at my table, and because she was in such a state, I asked her, how's your last month been? Do you think that you were in a position to meet somebody because of everything that was going on? And she looked at me and she was like, oh, I guess not. And it wasn't to be right, it was to point out that our choices determine our future. So even if in her case there was someone who might enter her life, she wasn't in a position to receive it at that time. So the universe said, okay, we're not gonna go that route. So our choices make our future, and I keep repeating that because it's so important. No matter what a psychic tells you, no matter what an astrologer tells you, numerologist, medium, it's about you making your future choices. So one of the myths is that it's fated. A lot of the myths actually have to do with tarot cards, and I have the deck here.
Okay.
And one of the things that a lot of people will tell you is that you're supposed to keep your cards a certain way. You're supposed to keep them wrapped up in white silk, or you're supposed to keep them in a box, or you're supposed to sleep with them under your pillow for the first 10 days that you have them. Another big one is that you're not supposed to buy tarot cards for yourself, that it always has to be someone else give them to you as a gift. To me, as long as you treat the tarot cards with respect, that's fine. So for me, I keep this particular deck I keep in a box, but my wife hand makes a lot of tarot bags, so she'll make bags for my cards. Some of the cards I still have in the original boxes, a lot of them are collector's items, so I do tend to keep those. But the bottom line is that as long as you treat your cards with respect, you're fine. I don't chuck them in the backseat of my car. I don't leave them by my shower. Those seem like common sense things, but you treat your tools with respect. It doesn't matter what the tool is. But there's no specific need for you to sleep with them for 10 nights or wrap them in white silk. It's about just treating them with respect.
Okay.
And in a lot of cases, what people will find is that when they come to me, one of the myths is that I'm going to have something really bad to tell them. The tarot is remarkably even-handed. I believe that the tarot will tell you what you're supposed to hear on a given day. I believe that with every fiber of my being. To me, it's one of the most valid truths of tarot. Sometimes you're going to like the message and say, oh, hey, I'm doing great. And some days you're not going to like the message at all. And I've seen both. But the tarot is even-handed about it. It is not going to tell you when you're going to die. It's not going to give you stock tips. It's not going to give you lucky numbers. I've been asked for all of those. And so it's important for people to understand and respect the tool that it is. But a lot of the myths sometimes get in the way. The death thing is a big one. People seem to think that if the death card comes up, that they're going to die or someone close to them is going to die. Not true. I've actually seen physical death in the cards twice in nearly 28 years of reading cards.
Oh, okay.
It's extremely rare that it comes up. And even if it does come up, nothing is certain.
True.
So of the two cases, the one case I saw it did actually occur. In the other case I saw it didn't. So the tarot is an opinion. It's an independent, intuitive opinion. That's what it is. Nothing more and nothing less. And my job as the reader is to give you the message.
For those of you out there that are interested in the tarot deck and maybe wanting to learn more about it or maybe even practice it yourselves, we asked John, how would one go about this and how would one go about the right ways of trying to practice the tarot?
The first deck that I would choose for anybody who's just starting out is a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and I'm going to tell you why. Rider-Waite-Smith, those three people were part of the Golden Dawn, which is the movement that really brought tarot as a divinatory tool to the forefront in the late 1800s in England. And their images are considered the standard for tarot. Now, there are plenty of different tarot decks. I happen to use a Rider-Waite-Smith. This is one in front of us. And I happen to use it because I love it. I have a lot of affinity with it, and not only that, it was the first tarot deck I ever used, so I feel a lot of loyalty to it. It's done very well for me. There are plenty of decks that I consider Rider-Waite-Smith clones. The imagery is very common over a lot of different tarot decks. So I honestly recommend someone start with a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. Either the standard Rider, there's a brilliant Rider, there's a radiant Rider. All you've got to do is look online, look in your local metaphysical shop, and likely they're going to have something that looks like that. If not, a company called Lo Scarabeo makes a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith clone decks that are really nice. I'm a French speaker, so I like when they have other languages on the cards too, and Lo Scarabeo decks usually have 5 languages on them.
Oh, nice.
So if you speak a language other than English, that's a great way to do it. But the symbols on the Rider-Waite-Smith cards are the place to start. There are plenty of other decks that you can use, and plenty of other ones that you're going to find affinity with. And eclectic.net is actually a place where I go to look up tarot cards, and I invite people to look up there because there are plenty of tarot deck reviews, plenty of images. There are thousands of decks out there. So my advice to a beginning person would be get yourself a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, get yourself a book. Learning the Tarot with Joan Bunning is one of the ones that I prefer for my students. Once you get a little further along, I definitely recommend works by Rachel Pollack. Like 78 Degrees of Wisdom, her book is excellent. Of course, I'd love it for you to buy my book too. That would be great. Mine are my first book, in their own words, is about really getting reflections on each of the major arcana tarot cards, and there are 4 more coming in the series, and each one will be a different suit. But my book gives you kind of a flavor for the cards, an overall flavor. I'm not going to tell you what to think or feel for each card. I want you to get a flavor of it so it speaks to you in your own words, and that's the reason for the title. But honestly, start with a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, start with Joan Bunning's Learning the Tarot. If you're lucky enough to live close to a shop like this, like 13 Magical Moons in Occoquan, come to us and take a class from us. We do a series of 5 beginner tarot classes, then we have a series of 6 intermediate and 6 advanced tarot classes. And they're an excellent way for you to get started with the tarot. If you prefer not to take classes, there are plenty of good tarot books, and honestly, Tarot for Dummies or The Idiot's Guide to Tarot are both excellent. I've seen them both, I've read them both. They're both an excellent way to get started. There are also plenty of tarot groups and associations. So the American Tarot Association, the ATA, if you go online and do a search for them, what you're going to find is that they offer a lot of beginner tarot resources. Things like tests that you can do, instruction, and they will also set up tarot mentors for you for free. So if that's something you're interested in, I would recommend that. I would definitely think about it though, if you're ever considering going professional with the tarot. You really need to be very, very comfortable with the cards, and you honestly need to be comfortable taking money, which a lot of people, when they read the cards, really aren't. But as a beginning reader, I would definitely start with Joan Bunning's book, a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and then branch off from there.
Well, since we just had a great interview with John here, he's actually going to do a little quick demo of a tarot reading to kind of show you guys how all of that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I would say here is that, of course, this is a demo, but also normally when I have a client with me, I ask lots of questions. So in this demo reading, I'm not going to be asking Justin the questions. I'll just be giving you some possibilities on what the tarot is actually saying in this particular layout. And the reading I'm going to be doing is a 6-month overview where someone asked me about their work. So work is a big question that a lot of people ask. So I'm going to start there and give you an idea of what I might see for this fictional person. Okay, so this spread that I'm going to use is called the Past, Present, Future spread. And if you're looking at this video, the past is going to be over here, the present here in the middle, and the future here on my left to the camera's right. So this spread is going to be about someone's work. We're going to imagine that a client is coming to ask me about their work situation. And this is a general overview, and typically with the tarot I give a 6-month or a year time frame. The tarot doesn't answer will I ever questions. So in this particular case, the Hermit represents a guru. So I would probably tell this person, you have been a guru at work, or you've sought out the help of a guru at work, and this particular person, this guru, has helped you become more of a leader, more of a manager type role there with the 3 of Wands. And this is someone for whom you have worked very hard. And frankly, likely this person is a male. So I would probably ask the client some questions about who this person might be. Maybe it's a mentor, maybe it's a work colleague, maybe it's a boss. I'm not really sure, but that's where I would start. So this person was in a fairly decent position at work because they were developing, either asking for guidance or being the person to give the guidance itself. Now here in the present, what I would probably tell the client is that they needed to step back with the 4 of Swords. The 9 of Cups is a wonderful card because it represents the wish. The challenge with the 9 of Cups is that many people don't know what their wish is. And so I might say to this client, you need to step back and think about what you really want to do at the office or in your career. What is it that you really want to do? The Queen of Wands is urging this person to push forward and be a little more aggressive about pursuing whatever it is they're going to pursue. And then the Three of Swords likely represents the subconscious fear that this particular person has. Maybe in the past they've tried to push forward at the office and haven't been able to, or they feel like they've gotten screwed over, which is sometimes what the Three of Swords represents. So trying to manage the client's fear and understand that this is a good time to step back and see where they really want to go. The future for this particular client looks good because the Two of Pentacles represents ability. So this is a person who in the next 6 months will really show what their ability is at work. The Queen of Pentacles is another work card, reinforces the idea of being practical, being responsible, getting a lot done at the office. So my advice to the client for the next 6 months would be, there's your Emperor, so there's the plan. So get a plan together of where you want to go, continue to work hard, and with the Eight of Cups, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this person decided in the next 6 months to leave their current job and go get something else, because the person is going to start to tire of their current assignment. That may or may not be with the same organization or company, but it does show a level of dissatisfaction that work just isn't good enough.
Given us some great advice today, and cleared up a lot of misconceptions, and have, I would hope to say have expanded everybody's knowledge about how a tarot deck works, and if you're getting a tarot reading, what it's about. So I would like to thank you for coming on the show and telling everybody about that.
Sure. Can I one more thing I do want to mention.
Yes, go ahead.
If you're looking for a tarot reader, please go with someone who gets a personal recommendation from a friend. In other words, please go with someone that another person has told you is a good tarot reader. And this is true for astrologer, this is true for psychic, this is true for medium, this is true for a Reiki practitioner, for any metaphysical service that you might need. Please go with a personal recommendation. Honestly, I don't advertise very much, and I'm blessed that I don't need to, but I think it's important for people to know that there are people out there, unfortunately, who wanna take your money. Yeah. And the bottom line is, if you go into a place and you feel uncomfortable with what they're telling you, then leave, and don't use them again. If they're asking a significant amount of money from you, especially an amount that you didn't know about in advance, walk away. But
like I said, thank you for coming on today.
Sure, my pleasure.
Sharing your words and wisdom with us. And like I mentioned before, if you guys want to check out his book in their own words, it's a great book. I bought it, I've read it, it's a great book. Like you said, it's a great way to get a flavor or a taste for the major arcana cards. If you're looking to kind of see what it's all about. If you want, you can tell people where they can find you if they want to get a tarot reading from you.
Absolutely. If you want to get a tarot reading from me, my email address is hierophant, HIEROPHANT @cox.net. You can email me directly. I'm here at 13 Magical Moons 2 to 3 times a month here in Occoquan, Virginia, if you'd like to come in for a reading. I also do in-home readings. I'm also a professional astrologer, so I do that as well. You can find more information about me at John Marani, that's JohnMarani.blogspot.com. That's my tarot and astrology blog, and you can look for me there, as well as other information about my background and pricing.
Given me a tarot reading before, and he's very trustworthy, and his words are great for guidance if you're looking for things to make choices in your life or change this or change that. So
thank you.
He is great at what he does. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
As we have learned in this episode, the tarot is not something that should be viewed as scary or intimidating. It's actually something that can offer you guidance and actually give you the opportunity to build upon yourself and your future. It can give you information and tools that you can receive and then apply in your life to make it better or to change something. Then once you get that information, it is then up to you whether or not you take the information and apply it to your life. And it is also important to note that you have to believe in what the tarot can do and the message that you are receiving from the tarot and the universe. So, this has been an episode of Stories of Lore covering the tarot deck, clearing up some misconceptions, and what would one get out of a tarot reading if they were to seek one out. My name is Justin Sisk, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the video today on the tarot cards and tarot readings. I would like to give a big shout out to 2 new actresses that we brought onto the Stories of Lore team. That would be Louise Ricks and Caitlin Sneed. They did a great job in the dramatization. So thank you guys for coming out and participating in the episode. And don't worry, we've already filmed an episode of what we think happened with myself, Louise, and Caitlin, which will be up next week for you guys on what we all think of the tarot deck and our personal beliefs. I would also like to give a big shout out to John Morani for coming on and doing an interview with us and clearing up some misconceptions and telling us what the tarot really is, where it came from, and what you can get out of it. So please, as I said in the interview, he has a book out that's called In Your Own Words. Please go check it out. Go check him out on his websites. And like he said, he does read at 13 Magical Moons up in Occoquan, Virginia, a couple times a month. So go get a reading from him. Great, he's trustworthy, and he does a great job at what he does. That also brings in to thank another person, is I want to thank our consultant Samantha Harvey for again letting us use her shop as the place where we interviewed John. She helped us out a lot with this episode, not only by letting us use her shop, but she put me in contact with John so that we could interview him and we could get the proper information that we need about the tarot reading. So thank you, Samantha, for that. Like I always do, since she helped us out, I would like to give a big shout out to her and her business, 13 Magical Moons up in Occoquan, Virginia, a metaphysical shop that sells herbs, candles, oil, sorts of other awesome things that may help your craft and expand the person that you are in your own beliefs. So please, if you are ever up there, go check it out. You will not be disappointed. And like I said before, my name is Justin Sisk, and I will see you guys in the next video.